Hey everyone, Arashi here, and welcome back to this channel. Now today we have a bit of a different video. So a question has been raised by a filmmaker by the name of Matthew Vaughn, I believe. He pretty much came out and said that he would like to reboot Star Wars, similarly to how they've rebooted Spider-Man and Mission Impossible movies before. Now, there's a few thoughts that immediately come to my head when I hear the word reboot in Star Wars. It's kind of like I feel like it's a bit too iconic to just go ahead and reboot like it's nothing. And B, I also feel like it could use a reboot at this point, honestly, but if you were to ask me what to reboot exactly, it would have to start at the sequels. I feel as though if we rebooted the sequels, then maybe something could change, but at the same time, I see where Matthew Vaughn is talking about and which direction he's looking at. You know, many of us fans were not even born during the 70s, during a time when the original trilogy first came out. And a soft reboot would actually bring in a lot of new fans and be able to tie in a lot of stuff so people can come in and watch Star Wars immediately and really get a grasp on what's going on. Now, obviously, a lot of people will be able to just come in and watch Star Wars straight up if they have Disney Plus, but there's a new aspect to, coming into something that you see is just a little bit more fresh. But honestly, my honest opinion on that, immediately thinking, is if Star Wars would be rebooted, it can't happen under Disney. In this video, I'm going to try to explain both sides best way I can, kind of being a little bit of a devil's advocate, I guess. But first, I just wanted to get my personal thoughts and opinions off first, and my initial thoughts is it just can't happen under Disney. If there was ever a time to reboot Star Wars, it would have been, like I would say, maybe in 2010, or maybe even in 2012 when Disney initially bought Star Wars. But the vision for Star Wars at Disney has just not been there. It's all been in theme parks and TV shows, essentially just trying to make the biggest buck that they possibly can. And as I said in my past videos, that comes all the way from the top. That comes from Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, whoever the heck else they keep hiring at Disney to make these Star Wars shows, and they're just not Star Wars, honestly. Now, I've said this a lot in my past videos. Outside of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, the direction and creation of Star Wars is completely gone. And Dave Filoni was there along the ride with Star Wars: The Clone Wars, so he gets a pass. And he also made Rebels, so he gets a large pass. Now, I truly understand both sides of the argument. The main side of, should we reboot it? I understand that there's people out there who would like to see it get rebooted. They want to join the older generations and get a new understanding of what Star Wars is to them. Now, I understand the argument. Star Wars is honestly probably the one iconic franchise that hasn't been rebooted yet, so it really is intriguing. And a lot of, Mission Impossible, a few others I could think of off the top of my head have been rebooted a plethora of times. Spider-Man rebooted like 9 times in his past 4 years. Well, not 4 years, but it honestly feels like it. But the past 20, 25 years, Spider-Man's rebooted a plethora of times. The Blade movies, they're about to get rebooted as well. One of the few arguments I've heard about this is, we've seen Mission Impossible get reboots, they're successful. We've seen Spider-Man get rebooted a lot, and that's still successful. So why can't Star Wars be successful with a reboot? And I'll dive into that right now, and I'll give my honest opinion going into this next part with my whole spiel on why Star Wars is where it is right now. My opinion on this matter is honestly split into 2 different categories. Star Wars goes back generations upon generations upon generations upon generations. I mean, my mom wasn't even born when Star Wars was first coming out. And it's just way too big and way too iconic, way bigger than the Mission Impossibles and a few others that I could think of off the top of my head to where it needs a full-blown reboot. I mean, maybe an animated reboot, possibly. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Maybe just for a reboot in case of throw in new sound effects, new everything, new soundtracks, try to keep the same voices and actors in there if you can. I don't know how you can modernize it. I don't know if we have the technology to go back to an old movie and make it look modern yet. But overall, for Star Wars, I don't think it's necessarily needed right now. There's just way too much brought into Star Wars. And we have the shows and some of the movies and stuff that go into it. Way too much has been put into Star Wars nowadays. In order for it to be fully rebooted, it would take, I'd say, maybe 10 years for a new full set of things to come out. Maybe even catch up to where we are now, it might even take 10 years. And my second category is the leadership. I've already said this a lot at Disney. They don't have the right leadership. They don't have the right vision. They don't have the right anything to drive anything along those lines in order to reboot Star Wars as a whole. I simply don't trust Disney as far as I could throw them. I don't trust Kathleen as far as I could. I just don't see it at all. Like with Kathleen Kennedy at the helm, it's just not going to work out. And I think as a Star Wars fan base, we can agree on that standpoint. I know there's people who love the sequels, and I don't want to disregard you guys. Like, I want to hear you guys' opinion all the time, but it just is what it is for most of us Star Wars. I'd say about 90% of the fan base of Star Wars don't like Kathleen Kennedy and the current direction of Star Wars. Not only do we have the TV shows, but we have the games, etc. A lot of stuff that's come out that just can't just be rebooted. You would have to restart from complete and total scratch for that. And there's just too much into it. But there is a piece of Star Wars that's actually perfectly cut off to where we can accept a full-blown reboot of. And it's kind of coming off of the basis of my Can the Sequel Characters Be Redeemed series that I'm working on. I'm going to get part 3 out soon. But anyway, that's besides the point. Since the Star Wars story is honestly capped out at this point right now because we are stuck at the sequels. Whatever the end of the last movie was, the 9th movie, whatever, that's where the end of Star Wars is currently right now. I personally believe that if we took that out and we took the if we take the 7th, 8th, and 9th movie in and we reboot all that, then I believe we can get somewhere with that. That way we're not muddling in past lore that's already been established, something that fans already love. And look, I completely understand. There's sequel fans out there, and I don't want to not acknowledge you guys for who you are. But sometimes in life, you just have to face reality for what it is. And the reality says, and I know it's a little bit cruel, but sequel movies are not as well received by fans whatsoever. If anything, the sequels in a few of these shows that have came out have just drowned the Star Wars community to where they don't even want to be a part of Star Wars anymore. And it's sad to say, but it is what it is at this point. But anyway, I digress. At this point, I would just say reboot the sequels, sequel movies trilogy. Reboot those, and then we could see where that can take us from the point going forward, because then we can establish Star Wars lore on top of that and build it around it. I just feel starting out the sequels would be perfect, just absolute perfect golden opportunity for all fans involved. And heck, Rey, and if you like Rey, she can still be part of it. If you like Finn, they're just going to be different characters, but if you like Finn, Kylo, any of those guys, Rey, they could all still be part of this reboot. But they would be different characters, essentially. They wouldn't be the same as what we've seen now. And I believe that would just be perfect for all fans coming in, incoming fans, current fans, and past fans. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. And stay tuned because I will have Can the Sequel Characters Be Redeemed Part 3 coming out very soon. I've just been playing Spider-Man 2 and it's a very addicting game and I'm loving every second of it. But anyway, have a great rest of your day. May the Force be with you and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.